Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Checking in on crypto, nope, MJ. So we did get the bounce we were looking for to a certain degree, and TRST and CTST, in my opinion, their bounce is a significant reason why we bounced in the sector. I will continue to watch the correlation. I do believe that that is our lead indicator for the time being. That will definitely change sooner rather than later, but it's something that I'm watching for, and I do not think it's a coincidence that we dumped in major Canadian MJ names when TRST was dumping, and when we get our first bounce day, that's when the sector bounces as a whole. So congrats to bulls that bought the dip, congrats to the bounce gains, but we have to remember we are very clearly in daily downtrends on pretty much every name that we're going to look at, except for a couple. And these bounces are not going to do anything to change the daily trend. Even if we get followed through tomorrow, we're looking for daily lower highs. We're getting to the point now, it's a sense of complacency in the USMJ sector, where it's almost like if things aren't going down and if things aren't red, it seems like a victory. But in reality, the bulls are proving nothing to me in the USMJ sector, and we can very easily drop lower. So we always have to keep that mindset that even CGC could give us a daily bear flag out of this bounce. We have to prepare for every situation. Even if we think something is unlikely, we have to have the what if to know what we will do if we start seeing that follow through. So for me personally, I had the position that I talked about. I think I said 34.80 was my average or so, and I entered further today. And heading into the morning, I said to myself, okay, we got a potential bottom fishing play off of 34.04 first thing. If that level breaks, I'm not adding any position unless the 5 and 15 minute RSI levels get extreme, because that's when I look to play a bounce that ideally gives me some comfortability knowing a short-term bounce at the least will be coming in the near term to allow me to play off of and position myself. So I entered in the 33.50s, increased my position size another 33% or so, and then from there scaled out a bit. So from that new entry that I made, I scaled out in the 33.80s, half of that position. And again, that just keeps me completely risk-free on my new position, knowing that worst case scenario, I could have a break-even stop loss. From there, I rode it a little bit further, and that's when I started scaling out of all my positions. I exited the second half of what I bought, and then I started to scale out into the from the position that I had from Friday. My reason for doing that, again, I'm in conservative mode. Conservative mode is very different than aggressive mode. I'm trying to keep my gains from 2017 and 2018 and slowly add some icing to the cake. I'm not trying to hit home runs. If I were looking to be aggressive, I would have held my entire position and tried to see as much follow through as possible. We did keep a nice little 5-minute uptrend with higher lows and higher highs. It was a bit concerning because the 5-minute higher highs were not getting much follow through. And when that's the case, we have to be cautious of a rising wedge. And I actually didn't even draw one, but just the fact alone that when you do not see significant continuation from new highs, my magnet's making my lines go crazy, that you be cautious. So we did end up breaking bearish, and then we consolidated for the rest of the afternoon. There's no red flags on this hourly consolidation, but it's also not ideal consolidation. We have not changed the hourly trend, which means tomorrow the bulls have to form an hourly high or low and break 35.83 to see this bounce continue. If we get that hourly trend change, we zoom out to the daily and we just look for a daily lower high, because anything under 39.67 is a daily lower high, keeping those bears in control. So congrats to the bulls that bought that dip. Again, nice bounce opportunity, about a 7% move from the low to the high. But knowing I'm trading against all these trends and knowing that the RSI has cooled off and knowing that I want to be conservative, these are all reasons that I am no longer in a CGC position. Although I take that back, I do have a very small position in our company account that I did end up buying in the mid 34s on Friday, I believe. I got to double check. It's hard for me to keep track of all what I'm doing in each account. I traded this bounce play in 3 or 4 different accounts. So Cron had a stronger close. Looking at the hourly time frame, the bounce went much differently. We still have not changed the hourly trend, but the bulls got followed through all into the afternoon. So the bounce on Cron, percentage-wise, ended up being just about the same, about 7-8%, but a little bit different in terms of closing strong. So we will need a clear hourly trend change. And again, we remind ourselves that anything under 1585 is just a daily lower high. We're not looking to change the daily trends on these oversold bounces. And if we're going to be surprised, if the bulls want to surprise me tomorrow, see continuation, close strong, and give me increased bull volume. I'll come on the video and say, wow, good job, bulls, you surprised me. If that ends up happening, if it doesn't, we're scouting the daily lower highs. And the question then will be, can the bulls change these daily trends? If we top out, can we form the higher low and higher high? Otherwise, bulls prove nothing. APHA. So a bounce attempt. First question, did we change the hourly trend? We have not yet. Bulls need to hold, need to form a higher low and break the high of today for that continuation. Anything under 683 is just a daily lower high, keeping the bears in full control of the daily downtrend. ACB, have we changed the hourly trend? Got a little higher low there, have to break 705 to change that hourly trend. From there, we zoom out to the daily. Anything under 748 is just a daily lower high. That is still 6% away from where we stand after this bounce has already initiated. TLRY, bullish reversal candlestick on the daily. Anything under 46.67, just a daily lower high. A bit of a different setup for TLRY. Have we changed the hourly trend? No, we have our higher low at 43.46, but we need to break the high of today to confirm the hourly trend change. Why is the setup different for TLRY? Because we're looking for a weekly higher low to form. And if we can change the daily trend back in favor of the bulls, we'll have our low, high, higher low if we can change the daily trend, and then we'll be looking for a break of 51.03 to confirm a weekly trend change, which would be very notable. If any bull can change their weekly trend back in their favor, that's going to start catching our attention, absolutely. CTST, one of the biggest bounce winners. Because there's the most risk, there's also the most reward. So we have our low of 243. I was very surprised at the strong close that people are willing to hold overnight, but we went 28% from the low of the day to the high of the day, and we changed the hourly trend for the first time since all this fiasco started. Key support is 289, and we are now looking up at a daily lower high is going to form. It's just a question of where. Next resistance is 327 and then 355. And personally, I am not looking bullish at this point. If you are still holding a position, walk up a stop loss with it, in my opinion, or just protect that trade. If you entered on these bounce trades and you are in the green, there's two ways of playing this. You are scaling out, knowing that daily lower highs are likely and locking in your profit, or you're setting your stop losses at break even to know worst case, because you're fighting the trend, you still can't lose, and worst case scenario, back to break even and we drop to lower lows, or at least down to test our recent lows. So we're going to look for a top on CTST, probably sometime tomorrow in my opinion, and bears, you better believe, are going to be waiting to re-enter. Question is, at what point will they look for that re-entry? And I don't know. Loss of the 15-minute uptrend would be pretty convincing that a temporary top has been set. OGI, significant bounce, gap down open on a bearish reaction to earnings. A bit of a short squeeze resulted in that, or should say from that. So we dipped first thing. We have an hourly higher low at $6 even. $6 is a double bottom of key short-term support, and 627 is a resistance. Anything under 731 is just a lower high. That resistance is 20% away on the daily time frame. Again, we're not changing this daily trend anytime soon. The bulls are just trying to create as much space as possible to try and create space for that higher low and then higher high to form. I am sounding negative in the sector because, again, I'm being skeptical of these bulls. These bulls have to prove it to me. I cannot give them any benefit of the doubt because of how significant these downtrends have been. And just because we're seeing some big gains for one day doesn't mean that everything is shifting. HEXO. Daily exponential resistance for over a month. Anything under 525, just a lower high, still 4% away. And we held a double bottom down at 480 and 479. But if the bulls cannot break 525, it doesn't prove anything to me. We have not seen 2 green days in a row. Really, we haven't seen 2 meaningful green days in a row in a month. We did have these little 2 green days mixed in there. That was a month ago, but not very significant. So can the bulls show us something? Can we see continuation on the bounce and increased bull volume? That's what I need. VFF, big red flag, just in terms of a great bounce. But again, bulls locked in their gains. The size of the pullback and this red volume is a red flag. If bulls could have held 965 and then made their way back up towards the high of 1020, it would be a completely different picture. But at this point, we're setting up for an hourly equilibrium as opposed to continuation. Low, high, trying for a higher low at 923. And if we do start bullish tomorrow, we'll look for the potential of a lower high compared to 1020 to stay in the tightening hourly range. Break the hourly range bullish, anything under 1156 is just a daily lower high. So again, we are currently 22% away from the last daily lower high of resistance, nowhere near changing daily trends. T-God, upper wick as well. Anything under 340 doesn't mean anything to me. We did drop to a lower low today, the lowest price that we've seen recently. And anything under 340, just a lower high. Did we change the hourly trend? Answer is no, not yet. VGW standing out for its tightening range. So here it is on, actually I like it better on the daily. So again, we have limited data, but this is all the data I need until we see either a clear break of 395 or a 457. So we have our low, high of the bull move, higher low, and we're scouting a lower high compared to 457. Losing the hourly uptrend would tell us that our daily lower high has been set. So 418 is the most important short-term support level. Break 418 and we'll call our daily lower high set, and we'll look for a higher low compared to $4. This tightening range, I anticipate it will likely break Wednesday, but again, no need to predict that. Might as well wait and see what tomorrow gives us, as that will give us more information. ZYNE looking for a daily higher low to form. I'm looking for our low of 1236, high of 1570, trying for a higher low at 1319. What's the question I'm going to ask? Have we changed the hourly trend? And the answer is no. Solid bounce, gave a lot of it back. Looks like this is an after hours, so maybe we didn't give that much of it back. But we have to change the hourly trend for our daily higher low to be established. And once that happens, we're just going to look for a daily lower high compared to 1570. CURA, green day, but still watching this falling wedge. And if we set a lower high compared to 935, we'll just reject from this resistance level. Pretty much, again, I need an increase in bull volume. I need to close over this downtrend line. I need to break a 935 for bulls to prove anything to me. CWeb, nice job by the bulls by staying in this tightening daily range, holding support. So we have our high, low of the pullback, lower high, higher low held, 2083 and 2079, essentially a double bottom. And now anything under 2350 is just a lower high. This is a nice tight range to be watching, and we should see a clear break, again, probably Wednesday, but we'll check back in tomorrow and see how it shapes up. IAN, not doing anything for the bulls except bobbing afloat. And again, it feels like a victory for the bulls just to not be going down, but if we can't break 389, bulls prove absolutely nothing to me. I want to point out 4-hour exponential resistances as a potential guide as well. Not for IAN, I meant that for Curaleaf. So look at the 4-hour exponential resistance. At the high of the day today, we just pulled up this 4-hour chart and said, don't get too excited. We're about to test resistance that has been rejecting the price consistently for week after week. And what do you know? The high of the day rejected right off that resistance, and it is still intact. So we have lots of time frames that we need proving on, and we don't have that proving yet. IAN 389 has to break for me to get interested, and support is down at 352. TRUL, bulls proving nothing. Resistance is 12. Make that 1412. But really, it's all these triple tops in the 15 range, because even if we break 1412, we could just set a lower high compared to 1508. So I care more about this low 15 level, than I do about those short-term resistances. OH, dropping to lower lows continually. The hourly downtrend still continues. We have not changed the hourly trend. People are looking at the conversion rate of if the deal goes through with CL, what's the discount? And it's a very big discount right now because there is so much uncertainty as to whether or not this deal is going to go through or not. The weekly time frame confirmed our bear flag. There's a lack of immediate support nearby, and we are clearly in a downtrend where anything under 913 is just a lower high. So with where we stand right now, we're a long way away from that lower high resistance. 20-some%. MedMen. So MedMen had a green day and closed up at the high. Bulls really need to follow through here because it is a red flag with how much we gave back on this weekly pullback. We had our low, high, we gave back more than 50% of the bull move up, and we pretty much need to see these bulls make their bounce up to the 320s in order to have a shot. Anything under 340 is just a lower high, but we need to bounce significantly enough to give the bulls an opportunity to change this daily trend and establish that weekly higher low. If we pull back and break this double bottom of 292 from here, the odds that we're going to see a weekly trend change will drop a good bit, and a weekly equilibrium and tightening range will be the most likely scenario. So I didn't intend to sound this negative towards the bulls in this video. It just sort of happened, but I just want to burn into everybody's head that yes, it was a great bounce. There was a great day trading opportunity today. Maybe it'll be a great couple days swing, but do not lose sight of these daily downtrends and do not get too comfortable in bullish positions. We have to be in protective mode playing against the trend. I appreciate you watching. We'll see if we can get some follow through into tomorrow. Do good things out there. We'll see you after the bell tomorrow. So the framing of our first bed is complete, and I figure with all this spare wood that we've got, might as well burn some and add some phosphorus and biochar to the mix. Ideally you want to do biochar in a ditch because that cuts off the oxygen. You don't want to burn the wood the whole way through. You want to leave it as almost charcoal, and then you just mix that into the soil, and it just creates further beneficial areas for all the little microorganisms and worms and things to work through. So with all this extra wood, gonna burn some of it and figure it can't hurt. Then we'll add manure and some rotting wood from around the property, and bed number 1 will be close to finished. So new update, I covered over the burn piles, spread them out, put some cardboard. I got excess amounts of cardboard, so probably don't need it, but figured putting it over the top of the sod will ensure 100% that it does not come through. Then I put some rotting wood on top of it. This half's already done. Got manure stacked on top of that. And then hay on top of the manure to keep the moisture trapped in and not let the bright sun bake out the beneficial microorganisms. Tons of insects and worms in there breaking the stuff down. Fill it pretty tall, pretty much to the brim, but should settle in. Gonna let it sit for at least a month and then do a fall cover crop. And that's pretty much one bed almost done. And then we're gonna do 2 more with spaces in between for carts to go. We're gonna dig out a path for a cart through this mulch, so that's gonna give us some good soil to work with as well. That's that.